Well, hello everybody, and welcome to our weekly Arrow after show here. Thanks so much for joining us. My name, as always, is John Campia. Thank you for coming by and joining us. Sitting right over here, right beside me, she is my co-host and also my wife, Miss Ann Campia. Ann?
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us.
And right beside her is Kaori. Kaori?
Hey guys, welcome.
And we are so glad that you guys are here for our weekly Arrow after show. This is for those of you new to joining us. Every week we watch Arrow and then we come on here and talk to you guys. And lately we've been doing it live. So if you are watching us live, jump into the YouTube chat, and we are going to be keeping our eye on that chat board, and we're even going to leave a little bit of time at the end of the show to do nothing but take your questions on the chat board, and we will go from there. So let's get rolling. Arrow Season 2, Episode 7. The word that comes to mind for me is packed. So much happened in this episode. So, Anne, let's start with you with first just your general impressions of Episode 7.
I'll be honest with you guys. I wasn't digging like the first 15, 20, 30 minutes of the episode. Why?
That's like half the episode.
Yeah, I know. And I'm sorry. I know. Minus the commercials, it pretty much is half the episode. And for me, personally, it's because I'm not really a fan of Count Vertigo. And the fact that he's back in this episode, alive in the beginning, I just wasn't digging it. Again, just like the last episode, it reminded me of kind of a Smallville campy, like here's the crazy villain, let's defeat him, and really there's no story after that. But I have to say the second half of the episode really did pick up. Much more of the story was exposed and it moved a lot quicker for me, and I enjoyed the latter half of the episode.
Kaori?
I see what you're saying. I wasn't a fan of Count Vertigo, but I think that the actor did a really good job portraying him, and he was actually a lot better this episode than last season. But you are right that it is all about the second half of this episode, especially with the big reveal, with Malcolm coming back, and Thea becoming the, I guess, legitimate child of these two. Really good. Good ending.
I really enjoyed this episode a lot, and for a couple of reasons. Number one, look, I think I said last season, although we didn't have our Arrow after show last season, but last season said I'm not a fan of the Count Vertigo character. I'm just not a fan of the character. You're right. Tremendous job. The performance is great. The performance is great. I just didn't really like it. But that being said, I really like how Arrow, because a lot of TV shows, especially shows that kind of fall into the Arrow vein, what they do is something happens in an episode, and then the next episode comes and everything that happened in the previous episode's completely forgotten and gone. And one of the things that I love about Arrow is they create a consistent continuity. And it's a very difficult thing to do. So I love the fact that they called back to the Count. I really like the fact that when he was breaking out of jail, the doll maker, they showed him, because they never did explain. They never understood how he got out of prison in the first place. And there it is. So they call back, and Arrow does that. They always like to leave these little loose ends, and then they'll spend later episodes coming back and tying those up. And I really like the way they do that. And then, yeah, I absolutely agree with you guys. It's all about the second half of the episode. That's where the crap all starts to hit the fan. Everything starts to unravel. We see Brother Blood getting really involved. We see Merlin returning. We find out about Taya's thing, which kind of explains why she's such a bitch. We find, there's the verdict comes in. Arrow kills a guy again.
Let's not forget all of the happenings on the island. There was a ton of stuff going on the island this episode, which I always love those scenes, by the way.
Yeah. Really, really do. So for me, it is a big, big win. So, Anne, let's get into some specifics here.
Okay.
Let's start with some of the negatives about the episode and then some of your big positives.
Gotcha. Count Vertigo, again, could do without that character. Obviously, he got killed off, so I'm kind of happy about that. It was Arrow's first kill this season, I think. Am I right about that?
At least since he said he was giving up on killing.
Yeah. So that was a little hard for him. Again, a tough position to be in. But the other scene, or the other kind of story arc I could do without, again, goes back to Thea and Roy. I'm sorry. I just can't stand that relationship. The whole scene with the boxing and it just, okay, finally, I was starting to understand where Roy is coming from and being sympathetic with his girlfriend and having this way for her to express her feelings. But then they got into this really cheesy hit me with the gloves scene, and I was like, I could do without this, please.
Yeah, I didn't understand it. I don't think that he should be the punching bag. If he really felt like she needed to let some stress out by hitting something, he could have went to the gym with her and done something. And why did he give her gloves to punch him with? I mean, it's like he wanted to get hurt or something. It was really silly.
They were red boxing gloves, though.
Again,
it's better than punching him without boxing gloves. I mean, it's much better.
She was pretty weak.
Either way, I don't think anything would have happened. But
another thing I didn't like, again, sorry guys, Laurel. I don't know what it is about her character, but she just doesn't have any consistency as a character. Where did her drug problem go? Suddenly disappeared.
Woo! There goes my drug problem.
Well, she
alcohol
had a break.
Be gone.
She wasn't in last episode. She recovered
and suddenly
just 1 week recovery.
Yeah.
And suddenly she has the most important case of Starling City in her hands. It just doesn't make sense. And yet Oliver is somewhat attached to her. Even after his mom has a victory, he worries about her, and that frustrates me. Don't worry about her. She'll be fine.
Well, I mean, with me, I'll start with the negatives. Yes, that Thea, Roy. But you know what? It's reminding me a lot of that other episode too. It's like when in the scene where Roy, she decides she has to break up with Roy and not tell him why. It's like, wait a minute, this entire scene was pointless. Mm-hmm. And then that whole punching scene, again, I understand what the writers are going for. And remember, we're talking about the negatives right now. We're about to get into the positive, of which there are way more. But it felt like the writers were trying to show emotional softness and connection between Thea and Roy. It's not. It's just becoming more and more of a joke to me. And I hope they find, because in the overall brilliance of this show, I really hope they either get rid of this whole Roy Thea thing or find a way to make it work, because right now it's not working.
I actually want them to pick up the pace and have Roy Harper become a sidekick for Stephen Amell already, if that's going to happen, because I feel like every once in a while we get a snippet of him becoming something bigger, and then he just disappears into becoming the significant other, and that's what I find frustrating. But I do like him as a character, and I have hope for him. And now that I see that Thea is becoming frustrated and angry, and now with this big reveal, she might actually become something pivotal as well. So,
also on the negative side, oddly enough, I'm going to put this under the negatives, even though it's not a negative. Oddly enough, for the first time in weeks, one of my negatives is not Laurel.
Ooh.
Now I completely agree with you, Kaori, about how there's this massive inconsistency. She's losing control. Now she's back in control. She's drinking every night and taking drugs now, and now she's totally fine. I'm still not over the fact that the DA would make her the lead prosecutor on a case which there is clearly a major conflict of interest, that she was in a love affair with the son of practically a part of that family. It's like, okay, you're really, really stretching it. But that being said, take all that out of the equation, which is very difficult to do. But I found her character to be, in this episode, believable, acting in a consistent manner. The fact that she does have the type of professional conviction that she's supposed to do her job to the best of her ability, and she does. But at the same time, she doesn't abandon the fact that she's practically a member of the Queen family. And so she goes to Moira to explain to her in prison, please don't do this, because I'm going to have to come after you if you do, and I don't want this to happen, blah, blah. And I appreciated her in this episode. I'd like to see if they keep going forward with that and keep her that way. Otherwise, it's going to get kind of tricky. But let's get on to some of the positives at this. And I'm going to start with the one with the positives on this one. Gosh, okay, I already kind of mentioned I love the way they're going back and tying up loose ends. Love the way they're doing that. And they never abandon even apparently minor threads. They still go back to and do callbacks to and tie them up. And I think that's really cool. So I really did like that. For me, the biggest part of this episode was that Oliver is, under the right circumstances, willing to kill still. Mm-hmm. Because I mean, look, I kind of expressed some frustration at the beginning. It's like, come on, you don't have to be afraid of killing the bad guys. Fine, but then the show has gotten me on board with his motivation about why he doesn't want to kill and the lengths he'll go to not kill. And they've made me a fan of it, even though I was against it at first. Now I'm a fan of it. But it still does raise an issue that, dude, you shoot arrows at people, okay? You don't punch them like Batman, although you do punch them sometimes. You shoot sharp, razor-edged projectiles at people that pierce their flesh. You're going to kill somebody at some point. But that being said, that whole scenario that he found himself in, because earlier in the episode they set it up that he could have killed the Count and decided against it. I'm not going to do that. And I'd rather let him get away with it and leave than kill him. And then later they put him in that really tough situation where it's either I kill this fool or he's going to kill Felicity. I've got to kill this fool. And he killed him. And I like the fact that he didn't beat himself up brutally for it afterwards, but it still weighed on him that he killed. I think the way they handled that whole situation was perfect. Because it was great action, but it also developed the character and our understanding of Ollie and where he was coming from. Played beautifully, by the way, by Stephen Amell. He's played this character really great. And I think quite often, because we like the show so much, we often forget to give credit to Stephen Amell because he really does do a good job portraying the character. So I love that. I love the fact that they threw so much. I love that Brother Blood was involved in the whole thing of trying to kill Arrow. I love that, Malcolm... I mean, we all knew Malcolm was coming back.
I'm happy he's back.
But as soon as the verdict came back not guilty, I think we all knew it's Merlin that did it.
I shouted, Malcolm to the rescue.
Yep. Yes, you did. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that was obvious.
So I think they brought him back in just the right way at just the right time. And you're right. So much of the stuff on the island was done so well. Lots of great stuff about this episode. Anyway, Anne, some of your positives about the episode.
Well, talking about character development and going off of what you said with Oliver's character development, one thing I noticed as you were talking was that season 1, if anyone was exposed to Oliver being Arrow, normally they would die, right? Because they know his identity. And in this case, Vertigo did figure out that Oliver is Arrow. And for some time before, obviously, he had the little incident with Felicity in the way and almost in harm's way. But before that even happened, I think there was a chance that Oliver was going to let him go again, knowing his identity. And that, to me, was new. And again, going off of the whole idea that his character really is developing into what we hope to see, which is more of a hero than a vigilante. But that was definitely a highlight for me, seeing Brother Blood's plan coming into play, and maybe the mayor's not dead. I know I keep saying he's not dead.
After this, I think he is dead. I think he was just not decoy. What's the word?
One of the many that he tried the serum on, but finally the serum is working, which we saw. And there's just a lot of highlights on the island as well with Professor Ivo. We know what he's looking for now, and we know who has it. So that puts our trio on the island in a vulnerable position as well, having to run from Ivo.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of good, cool stuff going on.
And I think one of the things that they alluded to, too, is that you were right. I mean, they're going to go to that Japanese sub now. As soon as Ollie says, will it save him? He's going to take the serum. He's going to take their version of the super soldier serum, and thus Deathstroke is born.
And how badass is it that Slade already has the Deathstroke look having half his face burned without even having the mask on? That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Some positives for me is in that Brother Blood scene, Cyrus, and then we looked him up, and that might possibly be Solomon Grundy. It's possible.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, here, take a look at this. Anne brought this up. Okay, so the only Cyrus that we're familiar with in the DC universe is the real name of Solomon Grundy. So, I mean, and Anne found this picture. And, okay, obviously this Cyrus dude does not look anything like Solomon Grundy, but he is taking whatever it is that Brother Blood is pumping into him, which is probably some kind of variation of the serum from the island
Yes.
being pulled out of the Japanese boats, right?
Right.
So maybe we could see, now we're just completely speculating here, but maybe we could see a physical transformation happening in Cyrus. I mean, look, it could just be his name Cyrus, and that's it. No more thought went into it other than his name is Cyrus.
Some thought into it. I would like to think that.
Yeah, or even if they're just kind of trying to do it just to tease the fans, we're being teased. Like we're thinking that way, writers, Arrow writers. So definitely good job on that. But there could be something there, and it's a strength serum. And obviously, look at the picture. Solomon is one of the stronger characters.
He's actually a very, very huge threat.
Yeah.
He's very threatening and scary and huge and powerful and all of the above. Another positive I liked was, I was never a huge fan of the Felicity Oliver thing, but in this particular episode and a little snippet of it in the previous episode, you start seeing these feelings emerge, not from just a crush, but from a really strong feeling from her. And even like for him, a little torn. I think he does see her more as a sister, but there's some kind of attraction that makes him want to protect her. That's more than just
You know what I'm getting
friendship.
from it? Whereas there's always a very hot thing between Ollie and Laurel. There's a hot thing between Ollie and other women that have been on the show. Especially after the last episode, I'm starting to detect real affection developing between Felicity and Oliver. Now, I'm not saying that I think that they're going to become the item on the show. I'm not suggesting that. I think something is, whether it's Laurel or Sarah or something else, Summer Glau or whatever, is going to constantly come in between that, ever developing. But I do feel like the writers are developing a real affection. And I'll be honest with you, out of all the romantic interests between Oliver and any of the other females that have been on the show, this is the one between Oliver and Felicity I am buying into more. Not that I want it, but that I'm buying into this because they're writing it beautifully. Because you're right, Kaori, it's gone from just pure crush to now affection, and that affection is, I sense the affection is starting to be returned as well.
Me too.
And so, although Oliver is trying to keep his distance from it, I really like what they're doing there. I hate love interests with superheroes. Get the women out of the way. Go fight crime. That's kind of my philosophy. Unless you're Wonder Woman, then get the man out of the way. Go fight crime. But in this case, I'm actually kind of digging it. What else are we missing? What else should we be talking about?
I mean,
here?
here's a thought, because Malcolm Merlyn knows Stephen or Green Arrow or Arrow's identity.
Yeah.
Will he tell his mother? That would be interesting. And I just wonder how they're going to go with this. I know that this is kind of predictions, but I'm just really intrigued by his return.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't talk enough about that, but Moira and the fact that she slept with Merlin and Thea's the love child, and it's kind of crazy, right? Am I the only one that's like, huh?
Well, let's be honest, though. Let's call it what it is. It would be a lot more dramatic, and it would have been a lot more shocking, and it would have meant a lot more if he said, I'm Oliver's real father. That would have really shaken things up. But I gotta be honest. I still like the fact that they're angling that Taya is his daughter. I still like it, but it really doesn't mean that much to me as a viewer. It didn't hit me nearly as hard as it would have if he found out that Oliver was his. You know what makes it really kind of gross? Remember, Taya was trying to bang Tommy in season 1?
Yeah, I know.
She was trying to, ride that Tommy
Good thing that
pogo
didn't
stick.
happen.
Oh, yeah. Good thing that didn't happen.
I mean, I know we all knew Malcolm was coming back, especially after the verdict, but part of me really wishes Tommy came back. I mean, part of me still thinks Tommy's alive. Like somebody threw him in.
I want that so badly because I love the Tommy character.
Because I started to love him towards the end of season 1, and then... Yeah, I was like,
especially towards the end of the season when he was becoming evil and bitter. I was thinking, oh my gosh, is he gonna possibly replace his father as the red, the bad dude,
the Dark Archer?
Dark Archer, yeah. But that didn't happen, so I do kind of hope
it would be a stretch.
Yeah,
it would be. I mean, look, it's a comic book TV show. They can do anything they want, but unlike Merlin, the father, unlike Malcolm, who. He disappeared from the roof. We knew he was alive. They watched Tommy die, and I guess they had a funeral. And but they can do anything. But
keep hope alive.
Tommy was one of my favorite characters of that first season because of all that he went through and the way the character navigated all of it. I really liked him, and I would be thrilled, no matter how ridiculous they have to get to bring him back. I would be thrilled if they brought him back. I don't think they're going to, but I think it would be kind of cool if they did.
Yeah.
So, yeah, well, you know what, guys? If you are watching us live on the chat board, and we're so glad for all of you that are, why don't you throw in some comments or some questions, and we'll take the next 10 minutes or so and just interact with your questions. Now, I know there's about a 20-second delay here going on, so we'll talk about some other things here quickly before we get to that. But go ahead and start putting your questions on the chat board, and Ann will pick them out, and we'll address them here on the show. So once again, there's a Flash reference.
Yeah.
At least what we're assuming to be a Flash reference, because they're talking about the particle accelerator. We know Dr. Barry Allen is coming soon, who becomes the Flash. I'm still very curious and nervous. I'm nervous about how they're going to handle the whole thing about his superpowers, because up until now, in this Arrow universe, there are no superpowers right now. And I'm nervous to see how they're going to handle that and the way they're going to work that in. Talking back about Tommy, though, Jonathan Riviera is pointing out Lazarus Pit. I mean, we got the League of Assassins.
That's why I'm saying
so
he could still be alive.
Maybe there's a Lazarus Pit. Maybe that's what Malcolm did. Took his son's body, took him back to the League of Assassins, brought him to the Lazarus Pit. But we don't know yet if there is a Lazarus Pit in this universe. We don't know yet, so that's kind of interesting.
Speaking of, there's news that Ra's al Ghul's daughter, legitimate daughter, not Talia, but the other one, and I forgot her name, from Russia, is coming.
Nisa?
Yeah, Nisa is coming to the universe starting episode 13. So
that's pretty interesting. And that is, for those of you who don't know, that's not a departure. That actually is a character in the comics, just not as well known, obviously.
She killed Ra's.
So I think everybody's killed Ra's al Ghul at some point.
True.
Ra's al Ghul is
but when it's your daughter, you know you did something wrong, right?
Ra's al Ghul has taken it up the butthole a few times. He's been screwed over.
He's kind of a good guy, kind of.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's go to the chat board. What do we got on the chat board there?
Let's see. I'm sorry, I can't recognize
Don't
your
worry
name
about
here.
pronunciations.
But since they are introducing Flash, do you think they will introduce Flash's super speed in Arrow, or leave it to the Flash pilot? Good question.
Oh yeah, that is
which is what I've been reading, is that what they might do is just introduce.
Yeah, so the question
idea
is,
of Barry Allen.
When we
Flash.
see Barry Allen, will he stay just Dr. Barry Allen and maybe get his abilities once the Flash pilot starts? That's a very good question. I got a feeling he'll get them on Arrow.
I think so too.
I think they'll do the pilot of Flash with him already with his power. I have nothing to back that up with. I'm just completely speculating here, but that's the way I kind of think it's going to go.
I think so too, but it's going to be at that point where we know he has it, but we don't really get to see the ability until we watch the pilot, because that's how they're going to get us to watch the pilot.
All right.
Yeah.
What's next on there?
Let's see. Tyler Palzer asked, do you think we will see John Barrowman as the big bad again, but with more of a focus on Ra's al Ghul's this season?
I think he's clearly angry that he didn't know that Thea was his daughter, so there is going to be some retribution for that against the Queen family, but he's not going to be the main focus as compared to the League of Assassins, in my opinion.
Well, let's not forget, he's in the League of Assassins.
Yeah.
That's right.
And let's remember, I don't know how angry he is with the Queens, because he came back because the mom needed his help. He got her the innocent verdict. He doesn't need her. As far as we can tell so far, Malcolm doesn't need Moira.
True.
No.
Good point.
So I think he still feels like... One of the things that makes Malcolm such a good bad guy is that he's a bad guy who thinks he's good. And I love the villains who think they're the good guys are always the most terrifying.
Like Ra's al Ghul.
like
much.
Ra's al Ghul. They think they're the good guys. They're doing what is right. And so within Malcolm is a rather deformed sense of honor. And it kind of makes sense that if he felt like he owed something to Moira, or the fact that they have a child together or whatever, maybe he just wants answers, but he went back without needing to get her out of prison. I find that interesting. But yeah, it's hard to separate him from the League of Assassins, because now we know that he was a member of the League of Assassins, and him and Oliver clearly have some unfinished business.
There's so much history there that we still don't know, and I'm just really excited when they start to unfold that. There's a lot of
I
connections
know.
that are there, and they just haven't put it on screen yet. So.
And I just keep wondering if he's going to reveal to anybody Oliver's true identity. It's gonna be interesting.
Oh,
I don't know if he has that much fondness
he
for
could have
Moira.
already.
He could have.
Yeah.
He could have already. All right, what else do we got?
The Krez 9 asks, will we see Dick Grayson?
Probably. I mean, it sounds that's the way it's going. There's been nothing confirmed by anybody that Dick Grayson. There were some rumors going around that Dick Grayson, aka Nightwing, was going to show up in the upcoming Batman Superman film. Then the rumors shifted from that to say actually that was for Arrow, but nothing has come out of CW or WB backing that up. If I had to guess, it sounds like they're doing the Smallville thing where they're bringing in these other characters and kind of new. Because look, I'm a big Smallville fan. But those iterations of the characters they brought in were not the characters from the comic book.
So cartoony.
That Aquaman they brought in, who, by the way, is in Hunger Games Catching Fire. And we sat like right across from him. The
Yes.
guy. That wasn't Aquaman from the comic books. Oh gosh, any of them that you could
But it
run
was
down.
just so-
Cyborg or like it just, that
Yeah.
wasn't the comic. And I got a feeling Arrow may go down the same road where they bring in these characters, but they're incarnations for the TV show. They won't necessarily, I really doubt they're going to be reflections of the true comic book characters, much like the way Smallville did it. But I got a feeling Nightwing will probably pop up with no association, no mention whatsoever of Bruce Wayne, Gotham City, or Batman. Warner Brothers is very, very protective of their Batman property, and they're not going to have any reference, I believe, whatsoever in the Green Arrow TV show. So when we see Nightwing, if we see Nightwing in Green Arrow or in Arrow, it will be just Nightwing. He will be his own standalone character, completely separated from anything that has to do with Bruce Wayne or Batman. What's next?
All right. Do you think Malcolm and Blood are in cahoots, or do they have different agendas?
I got a feeling they have different agendas. I believe the League of Assassins wants what Brother Blood has. Now, once again, this is just me speculating. They could very well be making a coordinated effort here. Maybe, Brother Blood is the one the League of Assassins gave the serum to develop and to turn into a weapon. My feeling is that they're going to be two rival bad guys, though, in this. That's just kind of my feeling. What do you guys think?
I think it's more of a group effort. I don't think it's just Malcolm Merlyn. It's just Brother Blood. It's just Deadshot or whoever else is left in this universe that's still alive. I think it's going to be them as a collective, them coming together, either as obviously members of the League or members of the Suicide Squad, whatever you want to call this group. They're building up this idea that they're all connected in some way, that we're going to see. What I think we're going to see is a group versus another group. And my hope is obviously some sort of iteration of the Justice League versus the League of Assassins or whatever the villain group is.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel about it too. I feel that some way, somehow, the League of Assassins and Stephen Amell are going to have to somehow become allies, maybe briefly or longer, to get rid
I hadn't
of
considered that.
Of Brother Blood and whatever he's doing, because we only see small snippets, but every time we see something that Brother Blood is doing, it's pretty intimidating, and I don't know what he's trying to do.
He's creating an army.
He's doing something crazy.
Yeah, he's doing something crazy. But hey, listen, guys, before we go any further, we're going to take a couple more questions, but I want your help with something. We all want your help with something. So here's the deal. Now, recently, Stephen Amell went on his Facebook or Twitter or whatever and asked for people to give him suggestions of Arrow podcasts and after shows and things like that he can go on and interview on. Well, damn it, he should be on this one for a couple of reasons.
Please.
I'm not even going to play I'm the head of AMC Online card, although maybe I did just play it. No, I'm not going to play that. But I am going to pull out hey, dude, I am a fellow Canadian. So I'm going to play that card. For those of you who don't know, Stephen Amell is a good Canadian boy, as am I. So here's what you guys can do for me, if you guys can do for us. Do me a favor, because Stephen actually asked for this. So I'm going to put up Stephen's Twitter, in case you don't have it. There's Stephen's Twitter. We need you to tweet Stephen Amell for us and tell him, hey, the Arrow After Show with, and you can mention me if you want, your fellow Canadian, John Campea, happens to be the head of AMC Movie News, AMC Theaters, and, Ann and Kaori. They have this after show. It's got, a bunch of people who watch it, and you should be on it, blah, blah, blah. There's his Twitter right there. Can you do us the favor? If you're watching this live or anytime this week, if any of you are watching it later recorded on YouTube this week, take a second and do me a favor and tweet Amell Wood, that's Stephen Amell's Twitter, and let him know that he should be on this show, that this is the one he should be on. And we would be very, very grateful if you could pull that off for us, and that would be really cool, because I think it would be really cool. I mean, he doesn't have to come into studio or anything like that, although that I'm sure my wife
Phenomenal.
would love that. And you know what? Oh, I wish I had the picture of you and Stephen.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll get that next time. Ann and Steven have a thing. But anyway, it would be just really cool. Maybe have them in here or just have them over Skype or something like that.
Chat with us.
Yeah, it would be really cool. So if you guys could help us out, either get them on Twitter. There it is. Get him on Twitter or get him on his Facebook or something like that. That would be great. Okay, now with that being said.
I got a good question.
All right, let's take the next question.
I like this question. David Skelton writes, will Merlin still try to kill Oliver now that he's the father of his sister? I guess Stephen, Oliver would need to find that out first. So that secret needs to come out before. But
now, will Oliver still try to kill Malcolm,
actually,
or will Malcolm try to kill?
Will Malcolm still try to kill Oliver?
I've got a feeling, nothing to back this up with. I almost got a feeling there's this enemy respect thing that Malcolm has for Oliver. And remember, I also think deep down, I don't think Malcolm wanted to kill Oliver in the first place. I remember there were certain episodes where that was pretty clear. He still sees himself as kind of like a part of their family. I mean, he watched Oliver grow up. He was his dad's best friend. Like, once again, there's that twisted sense, that deformed sense of honor that he has. I've got a feeling we're not going to see Malcolm going after Oliver. I like your notion, Kaori, about what if we have to see like Stephen Amell and Malcolm actually join forces with some other League of Assassins dudes to combat the Brother Blood threat and this super soldiers he's creating. I like that theory. That sounds like a pretty good theory. I don't think we'll see a Malcolm Merlin redemption, but I think that would be pretty cool. What do you think, Ann?
I am buying into that theory as well. I think we saw enough of a connection and a reason for Malcolm to come back because of Moira. And now because he has a daughter he didn't know about. So I can see that kind of Malcolm's mind kind of turning from, I really want to kill Oliver, to, you know what, I could work with this guy.
Well, I think that he wanted to kill the Arrow, the vigilante, but when he realized it was Oliver, he was kind of hesitant even at the end of the season finale last season. So I don't think that he's going to have a vendetta against Oliver, but I do think he has some anger issues that he's going to have to deal with coming up.
For sure.
Well, guys, it is, we've gone longer than we normally do. We like to keep these to a half hour. We're at like the 35-minute mark right now. So thank you. For those of you joining us live, thank you again for joining us. I want to remind you just one more time, you can help us out by tweeting or going to Stephen Amell's Facebook page. There's Stephen's Twitter address right down there. And, of course, if you want to reach any of us, either me and or Kaori, there's our Twitter addresses that you can reach us. You can either start following us and reach out to us. That's where we are. So, Ann, any parting words before we sign off?
You know what? You guys are so awesome. I'm staring at the chat right now and it's literally blowing up as we speak. I wish we could talk longer, but we have many more episodes of Arrow to come. So please join us again in the chat. It was we had a great time looking at all your comments, and hopefully we could get to more in 2 weeks. I think it's
2
the next
weeks.
episode.
Don't forget there is no after show next week because there's no show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I suppose we could just do a nothing but live show and just taking
That would be
talk.
fun.
That would be fun.
Maybe we'll
What do
do
you guys
that.
think?
Yeah, let us know.
No.
Maybe we'll come on a regular time, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and all we'll do is just talk the season up to now, because I guess we're about nearing the midway point. And we'll just, that's what we'll do. We'll just talk about the season as a whole, and we'll join you. You guys can join us on the chat board, and
Love it.
And we'll just do a whole episode that way. So yes, Forget CW for not putting up an episode next week. We will still be here. Anyway, any closing thoughts, Kaori?
Yeah, thank you guys. Let's keep the conversation going. Drop some comments. Tweet us. Tweet Steven. We love you guys, and we love the show.
And so thank you so much for joining us, guys. For Kaori and my name's John Campia. Keep watching Arrow and keep watching the Arrow After Show. Thanks a lot for being here, and we will talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.